Who's
you
the
know.
Omar of the NBA?
Oh, that's a great question. The guy everybody fears
Yeah,
as he walks around outside. Yeah.
I know the answer. I got to come up with that. I got to think on that
Yeah,
one.
yeah. I don't know. There's got to be
Omar Little.
somebody. Yeah.
What are they gonna say now? What are they gonna say now?
Welcome to another episode of What Are They Going to Say Now? Jay and Tony here with you as always. And the second round of the NBA playoffs is officially complete. So we're going to break down what happened in each series. And then we're going to preview the Western and Eastern Conference Finals and talk about a couple other hot NBA topics going around right now.
Sounds good.
Where should we start? Let's just start with the Warriors and Lakers.
Ugh.
It was just ugly. You got to tip your cap to AD and LeBron for playing well. LeBron, especially at his age, that's pretty incredible. But
Yeah.
the theme of this entire series really was poor Steph Curry needs help. He averaged over 30 a game in the playoffs. The final game 6, he has 34. DiVincenzo has like 15 or 16.
32. Yeah.
32. Like he was
16.
playing well. He needed help. There's no other threats.
Yeah.
Draymond was doing Draymond things and he was okay, and defensively, but man, Klay Thompson, the last 3 games in particular, but he had bad playoffs in general, but the last 3 games in particular in this series, it was just a train wreck. I think he had 9 points in the 6 6 on 18 attempts. Just
8 points.
8 points on 18 attempts. Just brutal,
shots.
abysmal.
Brutal.
Oh man, it's sad to see. I don't know if he ran out of his legs at this point in the season. He's still kind of getting, at times he looked really good this year. I don't know, were his legs just tired at this point after all the injuries? He doesn't have the stamina yet. I don't know. But he looked great last year, but he didn't in the finals and all that. But he didn't start the season until January. I don't know. I don't know if it's that or if he was
last
just
year
off,
you're talking
or,
about. Yeah. And then they had a short summer, right? Winning the title. So I mean,
which he took off. He took off on his legs as he was advised to medically.
Right.
So maybe he just ran out of gas. I don't know. Either way, poor Steph, man, help the guy out. Making Klay look good was Jordan Poole, a complete and utter train wreck this postseason. Just bad. It's not just that he's missing shots; it's that he's missing shots and he's taking wild Steph Curry shots, and he's not Steph Curry, and he needs to knock it off. Late in games, complete brain dead. I mean, we just like he's erratic. He's going in and out of control. Then he's shooting like a 3-pointer from 30 feet out for no reason.
Yeah.
We've seen, everyone makes a lot of the Draymond punch on Poole early in the year, but what we've seen escalate through the season is Steph Curry getting more and more frustrated with Jordan Poole. Remember, second half of the season, Poole chucks up a late shot, and with like 12 seconds left on the clock, with plenty of shot clock time, and Curry just chucks his retain the mouth guard out of bounds out of frustration. We've seen a couple of times now Curry's like getting pissed at Poole's decision making, and hard to blame him. So
I mean, he secured the bag and then fumbled the bag, in my opinion. I mean, you know, like you said, there is extenuating circumstances. Somebody on your team punches you in the face, the vibes were off from day one, before day one of the season.
I will say though, he signed a $123 million contract. I say get over it. Get over it.
He's at fault. I thought he played a good game 5.
Yeah, he made some shots, but by the way, it was just relatively speaking, he still wasn't efficient. He still took a lot of shots.
I'm comparing it to how horrible he was in game 4, which was, and to me, I think we might have texted about this offline, but to me, game 4 was the game that swung everything, right? I mean, we had the lead. We had that game in control, a road game that, you know how hard it is for the Warriors to win road games. You had control of that game, and they went away from what was working. They blew it, couldn't score, bunch of bad decisions. You lose that game 4 and go down 31, then you have no margin for error, And in my opinion, we go 2-2, go back home. We probably win that game. Then we're up 3-2, and it's a whole different ball game. And It's unfortunate. Steph definitely deserved better. Needs more help. You just felt bad for the guy after the game and listening to him talk, and he's frustrated, but I also think he's a big picture guy. I don't think he's ever too rash where he's going to say, "Oh well, get me out of here,"
And
because
same
he
with
knows where they started from. So
and same with Steve Kerr. I like what Kerr
yeah,
said. He goes, "We weren't really a championship roster all
right,
season,
right,
so I'm
yeah,
not that surprised by this, right?" And they
right,
weren't.
yeah.
Never during the season did I ever feel good about it.
Yeah, and he said
You
they
know?
maxed the core out. They maxed what they had this year out,
Yeah.
which I can kind of agree with. Save for some people not playing well, but for how people were playing, I agree they maxed it out. So
So coming up, interesting decisions. Draymond has an opt-in for like a really big single year.
mm,
Um, I think instead he'd rather opt out and get like a 3-year deal and call it quits after that. He said he has like 3 more seasons or 4. I forget what he said
mm-hmm.
in him. I think Lacob and the Warriors want to keep the core together, the three. Clay, I know, looked bad there, but there was times in the second half of the season he was looking fantastic.
Yeah,
So it's not like he's washed. It was just a really bad postseason for him.
yeah,
And
it
Draymond
happens.
he's still underrated. Like he made all NBA second team defense and deservedly so. And honestly, if he had not missed as many games, he would have been first team.
Yeah,
So I think what we're going to see is, and there's the other issue, I'll tie this all around. I don't often question Steve Kerr and his rotations, but what the hell was he doing in this series? Why was Jordan Poole getting all these minutes when he was just dog shit at a certain point? Kuminga is sitting there riding the bench.
yeah,
Moody got some play, which was good, but so Kuminga's riding the bench. Poole's out there just sucking, and at least Kuminga can bring the defense to the table. Poole has no defense. He was awful on defense.
defense, athleticism, something. They needed.
Yeah.
They needed more. They
So
need more punch off the bench.
I mean, game
so,
6, Poole gets 23 minutes.
Yeah.
And Kuminga checked in at the end in garbage time. It was over. So he played
Right.
like 3 minutes. What the hell? I do not understand that. I trust in Kerr quite a bit, but he botched it this one. Like, what are you doing? And rumor has it Kuminga said, "Play me or trade me," and I can't blame him because it doesn't make sense. Because if you're Kuminga, you're sitting on a bench and you're watching Poole out there stink up the joint. You're like, why? Give me some play. I don't. And also, Gary Payton II only had 10 minutes in that last game.
Yeah,
I want to see Kuminga and Kuminga and GP2
Payton.
get all of those Poole minutes.
Yeah, he was really strange with the way he substituted Poole, and I thought Poole was so. I mean, I'm sorry, Peyton. I just did the same thing you did.
Yeah.
The two P's. Gary Payton I thought was so good, like inserting him into the starting lineup, just the dynamic he gave them, diving into the hoop, moving the ball around, like it was really good.
Great defense.
And I get it. He was kind of sick one of the games. I think he like threw up in one of the games or something, so maybe he wasn't fully healthy. Whatever, he didn't want to burn him out, whatever it was. But I just felt like going away from that and going to Poole more, it just wasn't working, especially defensively. Like Peyton is that guy that can help lock up on the perimeter, which they didn't have. So
it's also worth noting, and I think the tide turned in this series with Kevon Looney's illness. Because they were coming out of game 2 looking good, and then Looney's ill and barely plays game 3, 4, he was the Warriors' second best player in the previous series. He's shown how important he is to the Warriors in the playoffs, especially when you got AD and LeBron in there. You needed Looney, and he only had so much energy. And I think that was a big deal. That was a kind of underrated big deal in this series.
I think so too. I will say I think AD is a really hard cover for everybody. It's not
he's pretty good when he's out there. Yeah,
right. So, I maybe Kerr was just thinking we need more Draymond on AD and like play 4 smalls around Draymond more, which I can kind of side with him on that, like the thinking on it. But those minutes when AD is out, should be Looney, or you're getting killed on the glass.
Well, Looney clearly was not fully healthy.
Right, so. Exactly. So, yeah, just a tough way to go out. Like you said, congrats to the Lakers. They definitely outplayed them. And it was the guys we didn't expect, right? Did you think that Austin Reeves
was impressive?
Would be better than Klay Thompson? Like, did you ever think that could happen in the series?
Did
you think Lonnie Walker would turn into I don't know, some crazy bench microwave guy who just
I
came
know.
in. And, like they don't win that game if not for Lonnie Walker. Like
He
that
turned
was insane.
into Lou Williams off the
Yeah,
bench.
right. So and I think Curry kind of said that too. He's like, you can't prepare for something like that. Like
Yeah.
you have everyone else locked up, and that guy goes off.
Sometimes you just
tip your cap.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I said I was going to bring this full circle, but so getting back to Kuminga and Poole, the rumors are already, and I very much expect this to happen. Poole needs to change the scenery.
Yeah.
It's everyone is going to think it's Draymond versus Poole, and I'm telling you behind the scenes. I mean, we know Curry's not a big manipulator, but he's made it pretty clear he's extremely frustrated with Poole.
Yeah.
We've seen the body language.
Mm-hmm.
I see Poole and Kuminga, and I hope Kuminga gets traded. He deserves a better chance. He deserves minutes somewhere. I mean, I don't hope he gets traded.
Sake,
I would rather see him get minutes on the
right.
Warriors, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen for whatever reason. We don't know what happens behind the scenes. Who knows? But I expect the Warriors to try and trap, Kuminga, Poole. Poole still has shown he's got it in him, but maybe he needs to change the scenery. And I could see a team taking a shot on him, probably a draft pick or two, and go after someone like Zach LaVine, a reliable second scoring option, somebody like that. Or OG Anunoby. I was Anunoby in Toronto because Toronto is kind of blowing things up a little bit.
I think the problem with him was the price tag was super high. So
I think we're going to see something splashy though, and Poole and Kuminga are probably gone. That's my guess.
Yeah, I just would hate. I mean, Poole, I understand. I think we've seen him. Like I think we've seen peak Poole, like what he can be, and it's a very good offensive player.
Yeah.
Kind of like, I would say he could be a number 1 or number 2 on a bad team. He's not going to be like a great number 2, 3 on a great team, which is what we needed.
Well, he was just, the other thing is just for the Warriors with this year. I mean, it had been reported a lot of tension and that Poole was the vibe killer. It happened recently. He was complaining at his locker to a reporter, and they were talking about being a small visitor's locker room and like talking about, well, he can only get, do so much with the opportunity he's given. And it's like, dude, you're playing like trash. You play better and you get more opportunity.
Right.
And I guess like there was glances being exchanged by other players while he was sitting in the same room hearing him say this. Really? So I think Curry sped up. He will never say it publicly, but just body language, a lot of, I think Poole's got to go one way or the other.
And if Curry is direct and says that, you got to do it, right? You're not telling the face of your franchise.
Honestly,
no.
I don't even think he has to do it. I think Lacob and Bob Myers just said this morning or yesterday that he's going to wait a few weeks to kind of think about his future and what he wants to do.
That's
if
another
he's
one.
Resign.
Yeah.
So
could be a lot of changes, man.
So I think the end of a dynasty thing is overblown because let's say you keep Clay, Dre, and Steph and Looney. Looney gets left out a little bit. I know he wasn't there at the very beginning, but he's been there for 3 of the rings, right?
Right.
We're going to keep those guys around, assuming Thompson's contract will be an interesting situation too, looming, as will Draymond. But
they better be.
You're telling me
discounts.
We keep those 3 guys around, and we have Steph Curry, and then we bring in a legit second scoring option, someone like that, and maybe a good defensive guy, and retool the roster. It's not over yet.
No.
They're totally. They could be right in the mix next year. So it's like calm down. People are so quick to dynasty over. It's like I heard that 3 years ago too, and what happened after that?
They said that last year. Yeah. And then they won the title. So
exactly.
I don't think
as long as you have Steph Curry, the dynasty is not over.
You're pushing your chips in as long as you have Steph on the team. You're not wasting years of his prime.
He's having this extended prime, and we know what great shape he's in. He could play like this. Look at LeBron at 38. I don't see why Curry couldn't be playing that well in 3 years from now.
And they get a longer summer now, right? You get a longer summer, longer rest and recuperation. Come back.
So calm down on digging the grave on the dynasty and shoveling dirt on it. Take it easy.
Yep.
Overreaction. It's everyone's. I hate the sports media news cycle. Everyone's a prisoner of the moment. It's calm down.
That's how it goes. It's what get the clicks, right? That's what the networks are all about. So, but we have some other series, right?
Yeah, enough Warriors talk. Let's go with yesterday's game, Boston and Philly. Completely disastrous performance. Philly blows a 3-2 lead in the series. I got a stat for you. Doc Rivers, as a head coach, has now lost 10 Game 7s.
Ooh.
Oh, and in 8 of those, it was with a 3-1 lead or 3-2 lead at one point in the series. Total disaster. This is, it's been on multiple teams. At a certain point, I mean, he's got to stop pointing fingers at the players all the time. There's too many players and too many teams. He's the common denominator in
Listen,
this.
A lot people get on me for saying, for being down on him. I just don't see him as an elite coach. Like, I understand
he's a really good regular season
coach,
but in
but
the
playoffs,
he doesn't have it.
He won one title, and it was, that
with the
magic
big three,
year, right?
With the big three in Boston,
right,
so
and then didn't win the next year with that big three. I know KG got hurt, but I don't see him as an elite coach. There's too many circumstances of his team shit in the bed. So
now an even worse look. Okay, in Game 7, Harden and Embiid completely disappear, and I got more stats for you. In the regular season, Embiid averages over 33 points a game. In the postseason, like 23 points a game, 10 less.
Yeah.
And he's also less efficient at the same time. Game 7, again, what I really didn't like from Embiid was he was like, I can't do it myself. And it's like,
me and James. I think he said him and James. He said the two of them.
We can't do it ourselves. Well, let's check the box score. Do you know who the most efficient players in the team that scored the most points in Game 7?
I'm guessing
Tyrese Maxey and Tobias Harris had, I think, 17 and 18 points on like 12 shots. Efficient. Wow. They played well. Sorry, Embiid and Harden. It was you guys.
Yeah.
Your supporting cast was fine.
Yeah.
Do you know how much Steph Curry would have killed to have Tyrese Maxey doing 17 and 12?
Switch Maxey for Poole. Yeah, see what happens. Yeah. No, so, I agree, man. Yeah.
I mean, the MVP award going to Embiid, I agreed with.
Yeah.
But boy, does the joke at camp look good right now. They're like, you see who's the real player here?
Right.
Like you're telling me I mean, come on, you get to choose between those two players. You're taking Jokic every time.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think James Harden is going to get a lot of heat, which deservedly so. He did not show up really Game 6 and 7. Yeah. But I would say that's the reason for them being up 3-2 was that he basically won 2 games by himself. Embiid cannot say that. He did not, and I know he had injuries and this and that, but to me Embiid is the one who should be taking more of the blame.
Well, they get into these playoff series, and then Embiid starts shooting from outside.
Yeah,
and it's like, what are you doing? Like the other team's happy, they will give you those all day.
Yeah,
you need to go into the paint over and over again.
And he was getting outplayed. Al Horford, at his advanced age, is just out there crushing him, killing him, and it's like this is the MVP of the league.
We should probably give a mention to Jason Tatum for 51 points, breaking Curry's record from 2 weeks ago.
He was pushing for it. He got it. So, not on the road though. Hey, not on the road.
Okay, good for him though.
And 14 free throws. Steph didn't have 14 free throws, but I'm just saying.
For the Celtics to go all the way this time and win it all, Tatum needs to maintain that kind of intensity.
Yeah, he was great. It was just unstoppable. They were throwing 2 guys at him. It didn't matter. It was one of those like defining moments, and he played into it with the crowd.
Yeah.
Now they have to go and actually, get to the finals again.
Yeah.
And go all the way. I think to answer some of the doubters from last year, but very impressive.
Yeah. So let's go to the other Eastern Conference. The Miami Heat close out the Knicks. We said it looked over at 3-1, and it was over.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, we'll get into our predictions later. I got to stop betting against Jimmy Butler in the playoffs.
No, I know.
Playoff Jimmy is a real thing. It cannot be denied.
He's a real thing. Yeah.
He's the opposite. He's the opposite of Embiid. He's a better player in the playoffs, not worse. He steps his game up.
Yeah. And hey, is Eric Spoelstra the best coach in the league?
I mean, we know he's always been top 3. It's Kerr, Popovich, and Spoelstra are like the 3 guys.
At this point,
also the 3
longest
tenured.
I'm just saying where he is
coaches.
now, with the team, the continuity, the team he has now, doing
Spoelstra's
the most with
great.
the least. Yeah, it's unreal. But Jimmy Butler,
he's fantastic.
Man, without Tyler Hero, right? Just balling, man. Bam Adebayo. I mean the Knicks definitely. There are going to be some tough decisions there too. I think they expected more from Julius Randle. Jalen Brunson did all he could do, man. That guy's
they have
awesome.
to be really happy about getting Brunson because he looks like a legit star.
He's the franchise to me right now. Yeah.
And he's still young. He's just entering his prime shortly here, so he could take a leap next year. Or maybe he just did take a leap. So they have to be really happy about that. They have their star of the future to build around.
Yep.
He's a young, good player, great scorer. intense. He works hard on defense.
Yeah.
You know,
It's tough matchup for
so
them.
I mean, I think overall it was a really good year for the Knicks, though. They took a step in the right direction. They won a playoff series, so they have to be happy with that.
Yeah, I think they will be happy with it. I think right now there's a lot of frustration and disappointment. And like I said, I think there will be some changes because I don't think that I just don't know if the Julius Randle long-term thing is going to work for them. Like I feel like they've kind of maxed out what they can expect to get from him. So
and then RJ Barrett is very hot and cold.
Barrett, yeah, same thing. Yep. I like a lot of their role pieces. You know, the pieces off the bench quickly, and you know, a lot of Grimes. A lot of those guys are good. But yeah, it's a disappointing end. But I think you're right. It's a big step in the right direction, especially getting Brunson. So
yeah. All right. And so last but not least, we got Denver taking out the Suns in was that game 6? Game 6.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Jokic was just a machine, just completely overwhelmed the Suns. And in the aftermath of that game, the game itself, I'm not going to talk about too much. It wasn't very interesting. It was just kind of it felt inevitable. The Nuggets were just going to walk over them eventually, and they did. And the aftermath of that is in the overreaction of the offseason so far already. I know it's not offseason, but was the Suns terminating Monty Williams, who I think is a very good coach. And yeah, there were some expectations with KD playing with Booker, and CP3 got hurt in the postseason like he does every year. It's a tradition.
Yeah.
And I think Monty Williams did fine. He was feeding his guys, his scorers. KD only played 18 regular season games for the Suns. That's not time to establish chemistry, really figure out your rotations. I thought Williams did fine. He lost to the 1 seed Nuggets with the guys could have won his 3rd straight MVP. It's not exactly a shameful exit, I don't think. And I think that team has a bright future. So the only explanation for that is KD, the coach killer, strikes again. How many coaches has he gotten fired now? He got 2 in Brooklyn. You know, remember, I forget their coach before when he first got there. He was doing a great job. I forget who it was.
Wasn't it Kenny Atkinson?
Kenny Atkinson, yes. He was a really good coach. Yeah. And then they wanted Steve Nash. They got Steve Nash. And then they wanted Steve Nash gone. And that was specifically reported that KD asked to have him out.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, KD also butted heads with Steve Kerr, like who's overseeing a dynasty. You know, KD's a coach killer. I know people say that about LeBron, but KD might be worse.
Yeah, I mean, that's tough, man. All the talk, all the people counting the rings already when they got there. You have to do it. You have to do it in the big moments. And I think, like we talked about all year, the chemistry and them playing together was gonna matter. That they had no bench, it's gonna matter. Like you look at the box score from their last game. You know, they had the starters all were in double figures for the most part, and they had 10 points off the bench, 12 points off the bench. That's not winning you any playoff games, especially against the Nuggets, who are deep as hell.
So, I mean, here's why I feel so differently about Monty Williams versus Bud Budenholzer being fired. Doc Rivers probably getting fired this week, I'm guessing.
You think?
Those guys were good regular season coaches, the other two, who failed to make adjustments in playoff series, which is where coaches really earn their money. But I thought Monty Williams was making good adjustments and he was just up against the Nuggets look like a juggernaut right now.
Yeah.
So I just think that was really reactionary, and I don't like that move. I think Monty Williams is a good coach.
Yeah, I think he is too. It's a lot of pressure.
They just need depth. They need depth.
They need depth. Yeah. I wonder if it's also the new owner kind of throwing his weight around, kind of saying, "Oh, well, I'm going to come in and make this change and that change."
That's
but
possible.
the players had to sign off on it. In my opinion,
oh, for sure,
that doesn't happen without KD and Books giving the go ahead. So there was definitely some hurt feelings and some, we want. Maybe it's a situation like Brooklyn where they want a coach who's going to let them do what they want more. Who knows? And I don't think that's a good idea. But
I think
DeAndre Ayton, I
was going to say Ayton is the problem with the roster. We're talking about Poole's contract not looking good. Yeah. Ayton's contract does not look good. They're probably wishing they let Indiana take him.
Right. Yeah, and I mean he didn't play that last game.
I think I said this in our prior episode.
Yeah.
He'll be out there, and I forget he's out there. He disappears. You're like, oh, Aiden's even on the floor?
Right. That's not good for a athletic big who.
How big was his contract? It's 130, 40. It's a pretty big contract.
Yeah, they matched.
The offer sheet. Yeah.
Yeah, who was it? Minnesota? No, somebody.
Indiana.
Somebody gave Indiana.
It was
That's right.
Indiana.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't see that partnership continuing. So then the question is where you go. They need depth all around, but they're going to need center help. If they lose him, so
well, it's going to be tough because they're going to be selling low on Aiden right now too.
Yeah, same as Poole.
Yeah,
same as if the Warriors get rid of Poole. So
I'm not completely certain that Aiden needs to be moved, but the same way Poole does. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
So before we get into the conference finals previews, we should probably talk about Ja Morant having another incident. And this guy is self-destructive now. I mean, he has, he flashes the gun at the strip club in Colorado and basically gets a slap on the wrist. I mean, he missed several games. That was it. And it's like, oh, okay. And then now there's another Instagram live video flashing another piece, and just, it's really sad. And it's also like kind of cringeworthy. It's like, dude, we know you grew up like middle class. Don't act like you're hood. It's just a stupid look. We all know. No one believes it. It's just ugly. And after this incident, so he's suspended from Memphis right now. I mean, there's no games for them. Right. But I guess he's suspended from all team activities.
Yeah.
And I think after what already happened before, they're anticipating he could be suspended the first half of the season or something like that, like a big one. Because it was like, this is several weeks later. You just did this, and now you're doing it again. And it's just such a, man, I mean, there's a good chance that the first incident cost him an All-NBA spot, which cost him potentially $39 million contractually. And man, I mean, Nike might cut ties with him. There's a good chance.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
he was going to have the shoe that replaced Kyrie's shoe. It's like the cheaper of the line, but the one that all the kids go for. Like he was taking Kyrie's spot in the Nike lineup. And I think they might cut ties with him.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to say. I think the problem with this was, that was his last chance. The incident before. I think the reason they gave him a slap on the wrist was they said, listen, we realize that you're a face of the franchise, of the league. We realize that, basically the redemption story that this can be if you turn it around and do all the right things. So the fact that he went out and did this again, and it honestly, to me, it looked like his friends were trying to protect him almost. Like he brings that gun out and they're like, oh shit, like, what are you doing? Like they didn't linger on it or, anything like that. Like that's just him being a jackass. So seriously, to me, like they're coming down hard. And the team suspended him from all activities, maybe trying to get ahead of things and saying, "Oh, well, we're taking matters into our own hands."
The league doesn't care. The league's gonna
say, you know what? Yeah, we he did this whole pony show, going out and saying, "Oh, doing the therapy and this and that," and I think that was a load of crap to get him back onto the court as soon as possible. And the fact that this happened now.
Well, and
they're in shambles. Dylan Brooks, this.
Yeah. Part of the reason I think Nike's going to cut ties, who had a really good take on this was Michael Wilbon of ESPN. Pardon the interruption.
Yeah.
And he said, first of all, he goes, I think Ja Morant, like, first of all, Charles Barkley was wrong. Like, you are a role model. And he's like, I think Ja Morant, all these kids love him. It's like shitty for the black community. Like, you made it, you're doing well, and you're trying to act like some gangster. And it's just a really shitty look for like young black kids, right? Like, I just think and so he said, like, Ja Morant's shoes are not allowed to be purchased in my household.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah. I get it. It's rough, man. You think you do all the work, and who, I don't personally know a lot about his upbringing and this and that, but you do a lot to get out of the circumstances you grew up in, which may have not been where
his
they
circumstances
are now.
were not nearly as bad as like half the other players in the league.
But I'm just saying, you make it, right? Once you make it, that's where you can make an impact. And
no one thinks no one's buying that you're some gangster. Like, what do you? No. Not to mention real gangsters don't go flashing their piece around. Like,
Yeah, I don't know, man.
I think
It's
there's a line from The Wire, and it's like, never show a piece unless you mean to use it, or something like that. Like
yeah, I don't know, man. I think
Stringer
honestly,
Bell,
like
shout out.
Stringer Bell. That's right. No, I think that this could be a, kind of. I was gonna say, Memphis called themselves a dynasty, which is just still it's hilarious to me watching how it's unfolding. But
I know.
but no,
Wow.
this could be like a franchise destroyer, like what they had started to build, and like
Yeah.
the hype behind it. Because now, I mean, it's just pieces of what made them what they are just dissolving, right? And you have some immaturity issues anyways with
Yeah.
other
No.
players too. Jaron
Yeah. No
Jackson
kidding.
Jr.,
Yeah.
the whole Dylan Brooks thing. Now
I
Ja.
feel bad for Memphis fans. Like you had all this
Oof.
potential, and they're just completely crumbling.
Yeah. Hey, I appreciate the grit and grind era more now after this, right? I mean, they had their faults. They never made it to the promised land, but they weren't doing all this crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And they had some real G's on that team. You know what I mean? Zebo.
Yeah. Oh, Zebo.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, you would have thought that team, you know what I mean, or the Jailblazers or something like that. But no, it's this Memphis contending team, who's had like the most issues out of any. Like, name another team that's had this many issues. Maybe the Wizards with Gilbert Arenas when he was out flashing guns in the locker room. That's the only other,
Yeah.
incidents like incident like this that I can think
That
of.
was
That
even crazier
and that
though,
was back in
because
the day.
but that was because a teammate owed Arenas money from the
Right, right,
on-flight poker
right,
game, and he brought
right,
a gun to the locker room. That's
right.
insane.
That's insane. Gilbert, yeah, yeah. So maybe Gilbert still takes the cake on that one, but still, like, imagine Gilbert doing that, right? Getting suspended, coming back, and then bringing a
And
gun
doing
to
it
the locker
again.
room again. Right, right.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy to me, and that to me is the reason that the league has to come down hard, because if they
Yeah.
don't, then there's no the credibility's gone, right?
Totally.
Just do whatever you want, just apologize, say that you're
Yeah.
gonna get treatment for it, and just come back. That the league's a laughing stock for this happening again, and
Yeah. It looks really bad.
they're coming down hard.
I mean, it could be more than half a season. It could be longer. I wouldn't surprise me because
But I've heard a whole season is a possibility,
I
and
mean,
you
because
know what?
they're so frustrated with
Yeah,
this because they
yeah,
gave him a chance and they
yeah,
let him walk easy, and then he does it again.
yeah. So
And
I
then, by
mean,
the way, I just want to say, there's some idiot Second Amendment gun nuts out there.
mm,
And by the way, like I like to shoot shotguns at clays and stuff. I'm not totally
hmm,
anti-gun or anything.
right?
This is not a Second Amendment issue. The
No,
NBA is a private league, and they
right.
can have rules of conduct for their players who represent their
It's not a
league.
good look.
So it has nothing to do with the Second Amendment.
Right.
Shut up. That
Right,
drives me
right.
crazy.
Yeah. No, I saw some of that too. Doesn't he have the right to? No.
Yeah. No, you don't.
No.
Yeah.
He has the right to do that and not be in the NBA. Sure.
Yeah.
Like, oh, hey,
It's
go
their
go back.
sandbox, their rules. You can go
Right.
home.
Right. No, I completely agree with that. And like I said, I think we both, as much as we Memphis annoys us and all that, we wanted him to get back and
Yeah.
kind of like get past this thing and like realize what an opportunity he's about to blow. So
I
yeah,
can't
we're
believe it
we're gonna
only
be
took
hearing a lot about
a
this.
couple of weeks. Well, and he's had all these other incidents that have been kind of brushed aside too.
Yeah, didn't
The thing
he
at the shopping
punch
mall, he
punched a
punched a
kid or
teenager in a
yeah.
pickup game. Yeah, just
So I
like
mean, you know what? It might be like one of those things where he's got to go. He hasn't seen his bottom yet. That's another Wire reference. They say if you're a drug addict, you got to see your bottom before you can
yeah.
get better. Maybe maybe he hasn't got to that low level yet. If
So
he
what
misses
you're
a whole year,
saying
he might be
so what you're saying is Ja Morant is basically Bubbles.
right. Exactly. I just put it together in my head. I'm like, he's got to like really see that that bottom fall out yet. So I don't know, man. It's rough, but
Who's the Omar of the NBA?
that's a great question. The guy everybody fears
Yeah.
as he walks around outside. Yeah.
I know the answer. I got to come up with that. I got to think on that one.
Yeah. I don't know. There's got to
Omar
be
Little.
somebody. Yeah. Now I just want to watch The Wire again.
Oh man, I forget his name. The actor who played Omar passed away during COVID.
Yeah, Michael
Bummer.
K. Williams, man,
Michael K.
great actor.
Williams.
Yeah.
Bummer.
Yeah. So, but yeah, conference, Western Conference Finals. What are you thinking
Yeah.
on that?
So Nuggets,
Just-
Lakers. I mean, the Lakers have been, since that trade, one of the better teams in the league. It's not, you can't deny it. They look deep, but I feel like the Nuggets are on a mission and they've just been rolling all year and they have home court advantage. Big deal for them in particular. And Jokic is, I think the MVP snub for Jokic is actually good for the Nuggets. I think it's going to fuel him even more because he's just been tearing it up. So I have Denver in 6.
That's actually what I have as well. I got a lot of cousins who are Lakers fans who are dissing me for that. But I just feel like the Lakers are better than advertised. I will admit.
They put it together.
I thought the Warriors were going to take them out. I don't think it's going to be easy to beat them, but I just see Denver being. You talk about the continuity thing, right? This Lakers team has been together for half a season.
Less.
Less than half a season. I mean, they have put something real together, but you know.
By the way, kudos to Rob Pelinka. I mean,
absolutely.
He retooled that roster in that trade, and that was incredible. I mean, you got to give him credit for that. That was
right.
He pulled off a miracle. That was I didn't see that even as a possibility. He retooled the whole team. That was amazing.
And they had pieces fit very well. It's gonna be a challenge for Denver, but I just feel like Denver having home court is huge. I feel like they're a great home team, and then you just have to get one on the road, which I think they're very capable of. I think Jokic is, he has been playing at a great level for a couple years now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we've seen him play this well in the playoffs yet.
Right, he's been a monster.
Maybe bubble. But
he's been
Jokic
a monster.
He's been, I mean, just insane.
Well, and it's going to be a tall task. Anthony Davis is a good defender, but having having to defend Jokic all the time, that's going to wear him out, and it might affect him on the offensive side of the ball.
Right. And they don't really have a lot of other answers for Jokic because he's so big. I mean, nobody
has an answer, really.
But you're not putting LeBron on him, right? I mean,
no, you would wear LeBron down too quickly.
So I just, I don't know what, maybe you tried Vanderbilt or something. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is with that. And then Jamal Murray, I feel like is going to feast on, similar. I mean, Steph.
Well, and KCP is looking good.
KCP
and Aaron
Michael
Gordon.
Michael Porter Jr.
That's a really deep. That's a deep squad they have.
Yeah. So I don't think that we're sliding the Lakers or anything like that. No. Obviously we're not.
We're
Lakers
picking
fans.
the 1 seed. We're picking the 1 seed.
Right.
It's not that crazy.
Yeah. So I've seen a lot of people kind of jumping on the Lakers thing, which I understand. It was an impressive series win by them, beating the Warriors, but
I will say,
I think the Warriors. I will. Sorry, I was just going to say real quick. I think the Warriors would have got clobbered by the Nuggets too. You know what I mean? Like if we're just because I'm a Warriors fan, I'm not like, oh, if the Warriors would have won, they would have smoked the Nuggets.
Nope.
No, not this year. No. So,
Well, anyway, so let's move on to the other game. Anyway, let's talk about the Eastern Conference Finals. We got a rematch between the Heat and the Celtics. I'm scared to pick against Jimmy Butler again.
But
this Celtics team has been really inconsistent.
Yeah.
But I think overall they're the better team. But they're so on and off on certain nights. I'm going to do it again. I got the Celtics in 7. Just like last year, they won in 7.
Yeah. I think I'm with you on that. Also, I hate that we're picking the same thing, but I actually thought those before we made these predictions. I just think the wear and tear a little bit on Miami is going to catch up a little bit with them, just playing undermanned. Just Jimmy having to do otherworldly stuff for all these series.
Yeah.
Celtics have a little bit more of a supporting cast around their stars. They can Tatum can have a bad game and other guys can really step up. Miami doesn't really have that opportunity, and especially with Boston, who's such a good defensive team.
Yeah.
I'm giving it 7 games because Jimmy Butler is going to win.
It's pure respect for Jimmy Butler making it 7 games.
He's going to win a few, and you know what? If he wins the whole thing, I wouldn't be like.
We saw last year, he was a missed 3-pointer from going to the finals at the end of that game. So
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a close series, and I think we could have another dramatic Game 7. Who knows? Maybe this year the shot goes in. Who knows?
Yeah, no, I just think I think Boston has all the tools to defend Miami, and they're going to be able to throw all available bodies at Jimmy Butler. You know, they got Marcus Smart, they got Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. They're all going to take turns. Yeah, Horford, whoever, you know, throw the kitchen sink at him. I think Bam Adebayo can have a good series, but you know, I think him and Horford's going to be an interesting battle. You know, it's going to be. I think it's going to be a really good series, but I have the Celtics winning it in 7 games.
Got it. You know, my biggest concern, and now this reminds me of what I was going to say about the other series, is look, the NBA, I don't think they rig games, but the way they assign officials to games is highly suspect. We've seen too many cases of it. My biggest concern with the Nuggets and Lakers is the NBA nudging it in LeBron's direction. They want Celtics, Lakers, and LeBron so badly because of all the history there. They want it so badly. So I'm really worried about a bunch of whistles going against Denver and in the Lakers' favor. We've just seen too much of it to not be a little bit wary of that. And same thing. I mean, so with the Heat, you know, they badly want Celtics Lakers. There's no doubt. So I'm concerned about the officiating. I'm very concerned.
Oh yeah.
And now I'm not even talking about my own team. That shows that.
Right.
Right. Like I'm just concerned about it.
Yeah. There was a graphic going around that somebody had posted of a Celtics Lakers finals schedule, or you know, a promo basically.
Yeah.
And this was before the Warriors Lakers series. So
yeah,
of course, after seeing how the Lakers series went down with all the free throws and all that, it was like, okay.
Yeah. I mean, to be clear, the Warriors blew that series.
They got beat.
Yeah. But the officiating definitely tilted towards the Lakers. There's just no doubt.
if you have 20 plus more free throws than the home team.
On average. Yeah.
So anyways, but yeah, no, I think it's going to be, I think both series are going to be very good, actually. I think both series are going to be competitive. I don't see a sweep or a gentleman's sweep in either series.
No.
You know, we said 6 and then 7, so I could easily see that. I could see them both going 7, you know.
Yeah, I think we're going to get some really good games. I think this is going to be a really great finals round.
Yeah. So.
Conference finals round. Yeah.
Absolutely. So.
All right. Well, it starts on Tuesday night. So get a little break here, and then we'll get into those, and we'll probably check in mid-series once a couple games are played on each of them.
Sounds good.
All right. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Please subscribe and/or leave comments. You can find us on pretty much any platform. And, we'll be back soon.
Yeah, let us know if you've watched The Wire, too, because we referenced that about 100 times.
Yeah, if you have a
who's
good
Omar
example,
Little?
Who's Omar Little in the NBA? And it doesn't have to be current. You could do current, but you could also do historical.
Yeah.
Is it like Charles Oakley? I don't know.
Charles Oakley. I would say Zebo. I brought him up earlier. He could be.
Zebo's crazy.
He could be an Omar Little.
Zebo's crazy.
Yeah,
but I don't know if Zebo was lovable because you loved Omar too.
That's true. I think Zebo was lovable. I think he was. He had some moments. Yeah.
Okay, that's true.
We'll see. We'll probably come up with somebody else by next episode. So.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Peace.